Hi friends, today we are going to see the past year NEET questions for the chapter Plant Kingdom, and today in this video we will cover part 7. People, I've already loaded with earlier parts, so those who haven't gone through the earlier parts can go through, so this will give you a continuity with the chapter Plant Kingdom. Okay, now let's begin with the first question here. So let's read the question here. The gametophyte is not an independent free living generation in dash. So this question was asked in the year 2011. Okay, so here they are asking in which form it is dependent, right? It is not independent, it is dependent on something. So here the correct answer is Marchantia, because Polytrichum, Pinus or Datum, if you see, they are in independent form. Okay, I will tell you why. Now, this particular gametophyte, okay, remains confined, or it remains within the sporangia and gets retained on the sporophyte. So this system, if you see, is actually visible in Marchantia, because here only the gametophytes are highly dependent upon the sporophytes. They do not live in an independent system. Now, to tell about this, who is this Marchantia? So this belongs to the family Marchantiaceae, and here this Marchantia is a liverwort. Okay, it's a liverwort, thalloid liverwort, and this, if you see, it forms a strap-like, or often forms large colonies on the surface, and it has a very thick growth over the surface that it covers. Okay, so here the correct answer is option C, Marchantia. To your right side you can see the picture of it. Okay, this is how thick it grows over the surface that it grows. Now here in the solution part they have spoke something about flagella and flagellate system. Now what does a flagella do? What does a flagella in common do? It helps in motility, right? It helps in movement, or you can say movement. So when the system has motility, it means it can move, and it doesn't mean that it should be dependent on something. So here if you see, the male gametes of Bryophytes are biflagellate, and those of Pteridophytes are multiflagellate, except Selaginella, which is biflagellate. So these systems, if you see, they are free living. They are not dependent since they are motile. But if you take Marchantia, the gametophyte is confined or retained back on the sporophyte, and it is highly dependent on the sporophyte. So that is why the correct answer to this question is option C, Marchantia. Now let's move to the next question. So this question again is very easy. We've already discussed a lot about it in the earlier parts, if you remember. So this question was asked in the year 2009. Which one of the following plant is monoecious? Right? We already saw the difference between mono and dioecious and monoecious. When I say mono, what do you mean by mono? A single plant. Okay, the single plant will have both the male and the female system, the female flower or the cone within the same individual. Now when I say dioecious, di means two. So here if you see, the male and the female flower or the cone will be present in separate individuals. Okay, so here out of the 4 options given here, the correct answer is Pinus, because Siccus, Marchantia and Papaya are dioecious. Okay, they have separate individuals. They have their male and the female cone separately. So Pinus plant is a monoecious, that is both the male and the female cone are present in the same plant, but on different branches. That can vary. See, branches can be elsewhere, but the branches, though they are present elsewhere, the branches belong to the single plant. That you have to identify. So you don't have to get confused when they say different branches. Though they are different branches, they present on the same plant here. Okay, a plant can have any number of branches, but all the branches will constitute under one single plant. Okay, and this Pinus, if you see, it has about more than 100 species, and it is the largest genus of the conifer system. Okay, and its habitat is northern hemisphere, and extensively now they are planting even in the southern hemisphere, and this is actually having a good survival rate, and therefore it is rich fossil record for research and other study purposes. Therefore the correct answer to this question is option A, Pinus. Now let's move to the next question here. this question was asked in the year 2009. Which one of the following is a vascular cryptogam? Okay, I think we've already discussed what is cryptogam in the earlier parts. So the plants which reproduce by spores and they do not produce any seeds. So that is called as cryptogam. Okay, they have a vascular system, but still there are no seeds, right? There are no seeds, but instead they produce a lot of spores. So out of the 4 options given here, Merchantia has seeds, Ginkgo has seeds, Cedrus has seeds. The only system that doesn't have seeds and only produces spore is Equistem. Okay. Equistem is a vascular cryptogam, and this is the only living genus in the Equistae family with vascular system, and it reproduces spores rather than seeds. They are commonly known as or called as horsetails, and this Equistem serves as a living fossil. Okay, what is fossil actually? How can you describe fossil? They are called as remains, right? They are called as remains. A future reference, whatever you can call it as. This Equistem is actually referred to as a living fossil because that has so many primitive and other records which are currently when it is being researched and found out, they have a lot of records before also. So that is why Equistem is the living fossil that we currently go ahead with. Okay, and another thing about this is a vascular cryptogam, and it has vascules, everything, but it does not produce any seeds. It only produces spores. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option D, Equistem. Now, let's move to the next question here. Now, this question was asked in the year 2008. Select one of the following pairs of important features distinguishing Neetum from Siccus and Pinus and showing affinities with Angiosperms. Okay, fine. Now, we'll go one option by option. Now, look at the first option here. Absence of resin duct and leaf venation, no. Presence of vessel elements and absence of arconia, we can consider it. We'll look at the rest too also. Perianth and 2 integuments, no. Embryo development and apical peristem, no. So the correct answer is presence of vessel elements and absence of arconium. And as we already discussed, argonium or arconia is called the female sex organ. Right, it is called the female sex organ. Now, what is the male organ then? Male sex organ, it is the anthracoids. The important feature which distinguishes Neetum from Siccus and Pinus is that they have or they show affinities with angiosperms with the presence of vessel elements and absence of arconia. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option B. Okay, now let's move to the next question here. This question was asked in the year 2007. Flagellated male gametes are present in all the 3 of which one of the following set? So you are given 4 sets here, and 4 sets have 3 plant species in it. Out of the 3 species of the 4 sets, 1 set has a flagellated male gamete. Out of the 4 sets, which one has a flagellated male gamete is what we have to identify. So now if you look at the first one, see, in all the 4 sets, leave out option D because option D is the answer. I'll tell you why. But before that, look at the rest of the other 3 options, A, B and C. Sometimes in the option 3, if you see, one is flagellated, one is non-flagellated. They've given in a mixture form. But here, if you ask me a purely flagellated male gamete, then the correct answer goes to option D, Anthracis, Funaria and Spirogyra. As we already saw in the earlier slides that gametophytes, once it is confined or once it remains in the sporangia and it is dependent on the sporophyte, then it cannot be independent and free living. So here, when we talk about flagellated system, we cannot take that into account where the gametophyte remains confined in the sporangia. So once it is flagellated, it has a system where it can be motile and it can freely move. So that system is followed in these 3 organisms, Funaria, Spirogyra and Anthracis. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option D. Now, let's move to the next question. This question was asked in the year 2007. Okay, let's read it. In Gymnosperms, the pollen chamber represents dash. Okay, but before we go into the solution, you should know what is a pollen chamber. Right, you should know how do you define a pollen chamber. A pollen chamber is a small chamber at the apex of the nucleus. It is present in the apex of the nucleus, and not necessarily it has to be present in every plant. Some plants have, some plants do not have. That is not a problem. So this small chamber at the apex of the nucleus in some plants, and especially it will be prepared or very well present in Gymnosperms, as it is mentioned in the question here. Now this pollen chamber helps, or it functions as a reception for the pollen. Okay, so out of the 4 options given here, the cavity in the ovule in which the pollen grains are stored after pollination, no. They're talking about after pollination, so this one is wrong. The opening in the mega gametophyte through which the pollen tube approaches the egg, no. Now, look at the option C, the microsporangium in which pollen grains develop. Yes, this is the right answer. Why? Because as I already said, as the pollens enter into the pollen chamber, they will only see for the development. They are all young ones. They have to develop. So that pollen chamber will represent the development. It will not talk about the action where it has to approach the egg, or it will not talk about the action that will occur after pollination. Initially, once the young ones come, it will only see to the development. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option C, the microsporangium in which the pollen grains develop. That is what they've explained in the solution part also. The fertile region of the microsporophyll bears a number of microsporangia or pollen sacs, which will be arranged in an order. Now this pollen chamber will represent microsporangium in which the pollen grains will see to the development and further growth. Once it is developed, it will go to the next action. Okay, therefore the correct answer to this question is option C. Now let's move to the next question here. Now look at this question here. Conifers differ from grasses in dash. So this question was asked in the year 2006. So we have to identify what is conifer and what family or what system it belongs to. A conifer belongs to, any idea? Conifer belongs to Gymnosperms and grass belongs to Angiosperms. Right? Now conifers differ from grass because in the gametophyte, okay, the female gametophyte is actually, see, we are talking about the endosperm system here. This question is very easy. You only have to know the difference. So here the answer is in regards to the endosperm. Okay, now when I talk about endosperm in conifers, that is in Gymnosperms, the endosperm is actually after, I mean it is actually spoke about before fertilization. Okay, conifers differ from grass because the female gametophyte is actually an endosperm which is made before fertilization. While if you take the same system in grass, okay, now if you take the same system in grass, this will be the other way around. In grass, the endosperm is a tissue that is formed by the fertilization of the second male gamete to the polar nuclei. So here it is seen, it is during fertilization, and here if you see in conifers, it is before fertilization. Okay, and another important thing to note here is, here the endosperm will be haploid and here the endosperm in grass will be triploid. That is how many N? 3N. Okay, now you can ask me about triploid. Now when I say triploid, this system will very rarely occur in the genus of humans, especially in primates. Okay, this we'll call it as a rare disorder. Okay, when you have 3 sets of chromosomes, which is not necessary at all. So this system, this kind of system is mostly seen in plants, predominantly in plants. So how will you differ conifer from grasses is only by these basic things. So formation of the endosperm before fertilization. So therefore the correct answer is option C. Okay, I already explained a lot about this. The haploid and the triploid nature and about the endosperm. One is during and one is before fertilization. So this is how you will differentiate between a conifer and a grass. A conifer belongs to Gymnosperms while a grass belongs to Angiosperms. Therefore the correct answer to this question is option C. Now let's move to the next question here. This is match the following. I think these type of questions, they very rarely occur, but when it occurs, it's a kind of to test your knowledge, and it might confuse you also. So you need to answer it correctly. Now look at this question here. On one side you have a set of things, and the other side you have another set of things where you need to match it. Now look at the option A. Peritrichous flagella. B is living fossil, C is rhizophore, D is the smallest flowering plant, and E is the largest perennial alga. Now, peritrichous flagella, okay, it is present in which? It is present in E. coli. The correct answer to this question is, see, I've already said peritrichous belongs to this is a flagella system which talks about motility, and it is present in Escherichia coli. Escherichia coli is a microorganism, and this belongs to bacteria. Okay, I'll tell you where. I'll explain you. Okay, this is a gram-negative bacteria. Okay, this is a gram-negative bacteria. And when I say peritrichous, it will have flagella all over the body. Now living fossil, we've already spoke about it a lot. Equistum is one of the living fossil that we still have in preservation, and it is still growing. And another living fossil is ginkgo. Organisms which have undergone very little changes since they first evolved is ginkgo. So living fossil is ginkgo. Rhizophore. Rhizophores are present in Selaginella, which is colorless, leafless, positively geotrophic, elongated structure. And rhizophore helps in the fixation of different gases or air which is present in the atmosphere, which helps in the survival of the plant. Especially nitrogen fixation is carried with the help of this rhizophore. Now let's move to the next one. Smallest flowering plant, that is Wolffia. Okay, and the largest perennial alga is the macrocyst. Okay, fine. With this we finish this answer. Now let's move to the next question. I think you're clear with this. Let's move to the next question here. The correct answer is option A for this question. So let's move to the next one now. Okay, look at this now. This question was a repeated question which was asked in 2003 and 4. Which one of the following is a living fossil? I think we already discussed a lot about this in the previous or in the earlier slides. Now, what does living fossil do? What is the meaning of living fossil first? Living fossils are any organism whose closest relatives are extinct and that was once itself thought to be extinct. That is, they would undergo changes, but the changes will be very minor. Okay, from the day it had been evolved till now, a very minor changes, or there might not be any changes also. And one thing, we might have think it had gone and extinct, but still it is in currently or at present it is not an extinct. Okay, so out of the 4 options given here, moss, Saccharomyces is an yeast, Spirogyra, moss, if you see, they are not answers. The correct answer is Siccus, option A. Siccus revoluta, a native of China and Japan, commonly known as tesso or sago, palm, whatever you can call it as. They are called as living fossil due to the very primitive characters. If you look from the day it evolved till now, you will find very minor changes, or there might not be any changes also. They remain the same. So they are living fossils that many systems are studying, and many people are studying about it. Research is going on it. How can it survive and how can it resist those changes? Okay, therefore the correct answer to this question is option A. And to your right side you can see the picture. I think these plants like Siccus, they are used as ornamental plants in many places and many official areas, in schools, in school premises and so far, as an ornamental plant because it grows very spreaded out and it looks very nice to see. Okay, now let's move to the next question here. Now this question was asked in the year 2003. Which one of the following pairs of plants are not seed producers? So what does that mean? They are not seed producers, then it should produce something else, might be spores or something else. So so here the correct answer is option B, fern and funaria. They do not produce any seeds. Which one of the following pairs of plants are not seed producers? Pteridophytes and Bryophytes, as we all know, they are seedless plants, right? Gymnosperms and Angiosperms are seed-bearing plants. Now when I talk about Pteridophytes and Gymnosperms, they do not produce any seeds, they produce spores, right? And Angiosperms and Gymnosperms, they are majorly producing seeds. Their whole reproduction is dependent on seeds. Okay, anything else that you want to know about Gymnosperms are? Gymnosperms are seed plants in which the conducting part is the xylem, and they have vascular system also. This is what makes them most special. So which one of the following pairs of the plants are not seed producers? It is fern and funaria. Option B is the answer. Now let's move to the next question here. This question is a repeated question for 1996, 97 and again asked in the year 2003. Which one of the following is a living fossil? I think all of you by now would have guessed the answer. Yes, the correct answer is ginkgo. Now this ginkgo, if you see, belongs to the family Ginkgophyta, and it's an ancient group on which is a sole living representative or living fossil. Okay, if you surf through a lot of information, you will get, because the common living fossil is ginkgo biloba or Median hair tree. The native is South China. Okay, therefore the correct and I already explained what a living fossil is. Living fossil is any organism whose closest relatives are extinct, and that was once itself thought to be an extinct. So this is how the ginkgo leaves look. Okay, so the correct answer is option C, ginkgo. Now let's move to the next question here. This question was asked in the year 2001. Siccus has 2 cotyledons but not included in their angiosperms because of dash. Right? Fine. Though Siccus has 2 cotyledons, and it means it's dicotyledon, but it is not included in angiosperms because, see, it seems like monocot. No. All this cannot be the answer. See, when the system is confined, you will call that system, it is present within the sporangia or within the seed system, or it remains, it has an outer covering. Then you can confirm it is an angiosperm or a gymnosperm, where we talk about seeds. Now here, though it has 2 cotyledons, it still cannot be considered under angiosperms because of the presence of naked ovules. In Siccus, if you see, the seed does not occur inside the fruit. Okay, it is not present inside the fruit. It remains open. Okay, naked. There's no coverage. So in Siccus, the seeds does not occur inside the fruit but lies naked or exposed on the surface of the megasporophyll. That is why, though Siccus has 2 cotyledons, still it is not considered under the angiosperms. Now you understand the reason. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A, naked ovules. Okay, now let's move to the next question. This question was asked in 1999, again repeated in 2000. So if you go closely through these questions, you can easily find that many of the questions have been repeated continuously. So it is very good that you go through these questions. There are chances for them to get repeated. Now look at this question. In which of the following would you place the plants having vascular tissue lacking seeds? Okay, here they have clearly mentioned one thing, and it's a hint for you. They have vascular system but they lack seeds. I think we all would have guessed now by the answer. Algae, no way, we do not include them in the plant kingdom. Now look about bryophytes. They do not produce any spores only. So what could be the answer now? They have a vascular system but they lack no gymnosperms. They produce seeds, so the answer cannot be gymnosperms. And bryophytes, they are non-vascular plants, therefore bryophytes is also not the answer. Algae, we all know they do not have any seed or anything to do with, so the correct answer goes to pteridophytes. Now pteridophytes are vascular plants but they are seedless plants. They disperse spores instead of seeds. They produce neither flowers nor seeds, and they are sometimes referred to as cryptogams. Crypto means hidden, and where the plants do not produce any seeds but instead they produce spores. Example of pteridophytes are ferns and horsetails. And we all know bryophytes, they are non-vascular. Therefore bryophytes, gymnosperms, algae cannot be the answer. The correct answer is pteridophytes. Therefore the correct answer is option C. So to your right side also they've explained the same thing that what I told now. So Watch or read the question clearly. They're talking about a vascular system. They're not talking about non-vascular. When they say non-vascular, you will go for Bryophytes, but they have clearly mentioned it is vascular. When they say vascular and lacking seeds, it's Pteridophytes. When they say non-vascular lacking seeds, it's Bryophytes. Okay, now let's move to the next question here. Now this question was asked in the year 1998. Which one of the following statements about sickness is incorrect? Okay, fine. Let's go one option by option now. First option C, does not have a well organized female flower. Okay, it has a cisnate veneration. No. Its xylem is mainly composed of xylem vessels, and D, its roots contain some blue-green algae. The correct answer goes to option C. Why? Bryophytes, as I already mentioned, they are non-vascular plants. Okay, now here we are talking about cichus. Cichus, if you see, they are cultivated as ornamental plants in gardens and parks, and they live up to 100 years and more. Now this cichus, if you see, when they talk about the xylem system, this xylem has a special feature called tracheids. Okay, I'll write it. It is called as tracheids. So this is present in xylem. So tracheid is one cell non-living elongated xylem, and therefore this is the incorrect statement about cichus. Its xylem is mainly composed of xylem vessels. No, it is not composed of xylem vessels. Therefore the correct answer is option C, because their xylem consists of tracheids and not of xylem vessels. Therefore the correct answer is option C. Okay, now let's move to the next question. This question was asked in the year 1995. A well-developed argonium with neck consisting of 4 to 6 rows of neck canal cells. This also we have discussed in the earlier parts. By now you would have guessed the answer. Yes, the correct answer is option B, Bryophytes and Pteridophytes. As I already said, argonium is called the female sex organ, and that which attracts the sperms towards it, and thereby the reproduction goes on. And to your right side you can see the clear image of Bryophytes, how thick and how vast it grows over the surface. Now these Bryophytes require a lot of moisture, or they grow on especially damp areas where there is lot of water. Now this argonia is a female sex organ of Bryophytes and Pteridophytes. Its neck region is made up to 4 to 6 vertical rows of cells. Therefore the correct answer is Bryophytes and Pteridophytes. Now let's move to the next question here. Now this question was asked in the year 1994. The wing of pinus seed is derived from, okay, it is derived from dash. This question was asked in the year 1994. Okay, now what do you mean by wing of pinus? Any idea what do you mean by wing of pinus? The ovule matures into seed and is provided with wings. Okay, what do they say? The ovule matures into seed and is provided with wings. The upper surface of the ovuloferous scale forms the membranous wings of the seed, which helps in dispersal of the seed. Okay, now what does the wing of pinus say? Wing of pinus seeds originate from the dorsal or the adaxial surface of the ovuloferous scale. What do you mean by ovuloferous scale? The correct answer is option C. I've already told you. Now, as I said, the ovule matures into seed and it is provided with wings, and in this part it will originate, or it is derived from the surface of the ovuloferous scale. Now what is ovuloferous scale? Now you can ask me this question, what does this scale mean? This scale bears, okay, this scale bears ovules. Okay, it bears ovules, then seeds in the female cone of the conifer. It is highly specialized megasporophyll, and it is homologous within the carpel. Okay, so here if you see, the ovule matures into seed and it is provided with wings. The upper surface of the ovuloferous scale forms the membranous wings of the seed. So where it is derived from, if you see, it is not derived from testa or tegmen or any of the surface. It is derived from the surface of the ovuloferous scale. Now this scale will bear ovules and seeds Yeah, in the female cone of the conifer, and it is actually a highly specialized megasporophyll, and this is homologous in nature. Okay, now therefore the correct answer to this question is option C, surface of ovuloferous scale. I told you what is ovuloferous scale also. It is scale that bears ovules and then seeds. Okay, the time taken for the cone formation or for the seed dispersal is about 2 years in Pinus. Okay, now let's move to the next question here. Now this question was asked in the year 1993. Which one of the following is the most advanced from the evolutionary point of view? Okay, fine. And the correct answer, see, we are talking about the evolutionary point of view. Selaginella, Chlamydomonas, Funaria, no, we don't consider from the evolutionary point of view, and it is not advanced. So far, it hasn't advanced. The correct answer is Pinus. Pinus, as you all know, it's a gymnosperm and it belongs to conifer. It has a well-developed conducting tissue and a presence of seed. Okay, so this makes it more special and advanced system from the evolutionary point of view. While if you take Selaginella, or if you take the other members that have been given here, Funaria, Chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas is an algae. Okay, this is an algae, so it cannot be considered. Now Funaria, it is a moss, and Selaginella, it's a pteridophyte and it has heterosporous nature, so that also cannot be taken under consideration. So the correct answer is minus. Okay, yeah, so that is whatever I explained so far is given in the solution part also. So Pinus is a conifer and it belongs to gymnosperm, has a well developed conducting tissue and a presence of seed, which makes it more special and makes it very advanced from the evolutionary point of view. Therefore the correct answer is option D, Pinus. And to your right side you can see a diagram or a picture that shows a pine tree there. Okay, now let's move to the next question. Now look at this question here. This question was asked in the year 1992. A plant with sporophytic generation is represented by zygote. Okay, what do you mean by the question? A plant in which sporophytic generation is represented by zygote. We all know it cannot be Pinus, it cannot be Selaginella for sure. So the answer should be between option C and D, Chlamydomonas and Bryophytes. But the correct answer goes to Chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas, as you all know, it belongs to the algae family, and it is exclusively a green algae. Okay, I'll tell you. Chlamydomonas is a green algae. Okay, it is a green algae consisting of about 325 species, all unicellular flagellates, and it is found in stagnant water and many damp areas where there is a lot of water for it to grow. And apart from that, what else you can tell about algae is, this algae is, the plant body of Chlamydomonas is haploid. Okay, haploid means N. It reproduces asexually by zoospore formation and sexually by the gamete, which are isogametes, and it fuses to produce a diploid zygote, which is the only sporophytic generation. Okay, this sporophytic generation is compulsorily absent in Selaginella and Pinus. I mean, even in Bryophytes. So, to conclude with the answer, Chlamydomonas, if you see, they are green algae and they are haploid in nature. It reproduces asexually by zoospore formation and sexually by the gametes, and here the gametes will be isogametes. They are similar in size, okay, which is only the sporophytic generation. Now if you take Pinus, the main plant body is sporophyte, and in case of Selaginella and Bryophytes, we are talking about a sporophytic generation, and that is visible in this algae Chlamydomonas. Therefore, the correct answer is option C, Chlamydomonas. Now, let's move to the next question here. Now, look at this question. A plant having seeds but lacking flowers and fruits belong to dash. They lack flowers and fruits, but they have seeds. Okay, very easy question. By now, you would have guessed the answer. Yes, the correct answer is option D, Gymnosperms. We all know Gymnosperms are a system which has vascules. They have xylem and phloem, but their seeds aren't enclosed within a flower or a fruit. It remains naked. It remains naked. It remains exposed. Okay, so here they have given some examples of gymnosperms. Cycas, Pinus, Sidrus are some of the examples of gymnosperms. The seeds, if you see, remain exposed to the environment so that it gets traveled by the wind of animals. That's how they grow and reproduce. Here in this system, they do not have any flowers nor fruits. Ovules after fertilization produce again a naked seed which undergoes this type of reproduction, which are carried by the wind, water, or it can be animals which help in this reproduction cycle. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option D, gymnosperms. A very easy question in fact. Now let's move to the next question here. In Pinus, the pollen grain has 6 chromosomes, and then, so what would be the count in the endosperm now? A very easy question again. See, in Pinus, the pollen grain has 6 chromosomes. Then what would be the amount of chromosomes present in the endosperm now? Now, pollen grains are said to be, pollen grains are said to be haploid in nature. I think we all know that. Pollen grains are said to be haploid in nature. Therefore, if the system is haploid, then it will have 6 chromosomes. That is correct. Now, the endosperm will also have 6 chromosomes because it is formed before fertilization. Only after fertilization it will become diploid. Can you understand the scenario here? See, in Pinus, pollen grain initially will have 6. Okay. An endosperm will also have 6 because they are talking about the system before fertilization. You have to clearly note here is what? It happens before fertilization. So before fertilization, the system of chromosome is not going to change. It is going to remain 6. If it is 6, it is going to be 6. If it is 7, it is going to be 7. Only after fertilization, it will become diploid. Therefore, in Pinus, the pollen grain has 6 chromosomes and the endosperm will also have 6. Option C is a right answer. Okay, both it will remain haploid because we are talking a system before fertilization. So after fertilization, the system can become diploid. Therefore, the correct answer is option C. Now let's move to the next question. Okay, this is the last question for this part 7. A very easy question in fact. This question was asked in the year 1992. Resin and turpentine are obtained from. Okay, I think you would have come across these two names, resin and turpentine, especially turpentine. Turpentine, which is also used as a solvent. I think you would have heard about turpentine. It is used as a solvent in during construction purposes and for wood purposes. Right? So this resin and turpentine is obtained, or it is obtained from which this system? If you see, the correct answer is Pinus. Okay, in the solution part you can see Pinus will give you resin and turpentine. Sidrus gives you timber for railway sleepers. Bees actually gives you paper, and Cycas gives you ornamental plant. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option B, Pinus. And we all know turpentine is a fluid which is obtained by distillation of resin. This happens from the live trees, mainly pines. And this turpentine is highly used as a solvent in many building constructions and especially new constructions. Okay, therefore we complete this is the last question for this part. Therefore we complete part 7. We all will meet in the next part. Okay, thank you for watching my video. We will all meet again.